All right, I compare two sonic cutters. Which one of them am I going to keep, and which one of them am I going to send back? Hey, welcome back to Advanced Geekery. My name is David Gewertz, and today I am comparing the Chawke Sonic Cutter with the Magicutter Sonic Cutter. Turns out that the Magicutter and the Chawke Cutter are roughly $250 each. It turns out that the Chawke has a separate add-on option with a bunch of accessories, extra blades, and things like that. And I ponied up for that, so I bought the $300-ish one that added a pile of extra blades and other resources. You can make a decision on your own, but they're essentially the same price for both offerings. And I had originally bought the Sonic Cutter to work on the Deep Space Nine model that I 3D printed and was trying to save. And I was moderately impressed. I mean, the Magicutter was better than just using a set of clippers or trying to use an X-Acto knife. I mean, it was definitely a step up, but it wasn't a $250 step up, and it had some major annoyances. So I decided that I would take advantage of my 30-day return window, which I'm in the middle of. I have like 10 more days left. And I would get another Sonic Cutter and I would compare them to see which I liked better. And so that's why I bought the Chawke. And I will show you some of my tests, and then at the end I will tell you my conclusion, and it's a very clear conclusion. So let's take a look at those tests, and then at the end I'll tell you my conclusion. This program is sponsored in part by the Advanced Geekery weekly newsletter. Want exclusive access to my latest ZDNet articles, behind-the-scenes updates on my projects, and must-watch YouTube videos curated just for you? How about fascinating reads from around the web and a chance to have your own project spotlighted? It's all in the newsletter. And the best part, subscribing is absolutely free. Don't wait, click the link below to get your weekly issue and make it awesome. Let's first open it up. Inside the nice little case comes a USB C connector, a bunch of spare blades, actually a couple tools, a set of spare blades, and the tool itself, the Magicutter. All right, so we take the end of this thing off, and it has a protective shield here. And I'm going to put these away, and I'm going to put all this away, and let's get this thing powered up. Now, it turns out that this does require power, so it is not something that'll work just on its own. This is definitely a corded device. This needs to use its own power dongle. I tried it with other USB-C power dongles, and I mean, it's probably the amount of power put out by the power dongle, but I didn't bother to investigate that. I just found that the few that I already had plugged in didn't work, but when I used it worked. So it kind of needs its own power dongle. All right, so I'm going to do two things. First is mostly this is used for going to be used for cutting supports. So I want to do a couple of quick cuts through the support and remind myself and you how well that worked. And I was pretty impressed with it the first time, so I don't doubt I will be fairly impressed with it again. All right, so let's do a little cutting through this. You push the button, and you'll notice that there's a color change. So push it twice to make it yellow. And I also found that selecting the mode was kind of a pain. So there we go. I think that's yellow. That's yellow. All right. So now hold the button in. And as you can see, it is slicing through very nicely. Not fast, but it's definitely doing it. Let's see if I can show it to you on an angle. You can see I'm just cutting on down. As you can see, it's doing a nice, smooth cut. Let's see if I can give you a better view of that. Just come in here. And it's going right on through. So I like how that works. I don't like how it jumps at the end, and I expect that most things will jump at the end. I did try, there's this chunk of ugliness that I tried to cut off in the original video. You can kind of see how it came off up here. It was pretty bad. But I want to see whether or not this does any better. So let's do a quick cut here. Again, I have one of the okay. So one thing just happened is I stopped, and the power went away. So I have to reset it to turn the power back on. And also, my biggest complaint is that when I was attempting to use the tool, I would hit the button, which would turn the power off. So let's turn it back on again. 1 click and 2 clicks. 1 click and a click hold. There we go. And I'm going to try cutting this piece down here, which is a little hard to manipulate. This piece right here. And it's cutting, but I'm putting a fair amount of pressure on it, but it is working. So it's doing the job. It's just not doing it great. I mean, for $200 some odd, it's okay. I mean, we can take the Benchy, we can make it a convertible. Maybe we can't. Oh, it's still on. Okay, we can make it a convertible. 1. But I'm giving it a certain amount, a fairly decent amount of pressure to do this. But certainly, obviously, it's less than an X-Acto knife, and there's our convertible Benchy right there. Okay, so next up, I want to try seeing how it cuts wood. Now, this is part of a sort of pop-out wooden boat kit, and as you can see, some of the pieces pop out, but I actually gave up on this project and those like them because separating all the parts was such an epic pain in the butt. So I've actually had this thing sitting around, I don't know, at least 5 years untouched. And if you look at the back, let me see if I can show you a better shot up here. Yeah, if you look at the back, you can see it's sort of cut through, but not completely. And it's just really difficult to pull the parts off. Like, all right, I'm going to start with this one here, and you can see it's kind of pieces of coming out, but it's also like right in the middle here, it's not coming out, so it needs to be cut out. And I think the way to do that, let's see if I can bring this back over so you can see what I'm doing. I'm going to turn, once again, I have to turn this back on because it's, okay. There we go. Nope. So, oh, there we go. Now it's on. All right, so let's see if this will do me any good. Let's try it here. It does nicely cut through, although it certainly does create a bit of a wood burn feeling. But it does get through the wood a little bit. think that should pop it out. Yep, there we go. So that did help pop that piece out, and it wasn't too bad. Let's play with it a little bit more down here. So just try to run it along the existing cut line. Well, that's not bad at all. Well, it's a little bit annoying. It doesn't go through all that well, but it does sort of work. So that's it for testing the Magicutter. I mean, it kind of does its job. It's $250 for something that kind of does its job. So let's move on. So next up is the Chawke Cutter. And as you can see right off the bat, it is substantially bigger in terms of what's provided. Now, I bought the sort of pro version, so instead of $250, I think I spent $299 or something. I'll leave the actual price on the video when I produce it. But I spent about an extra $50 for a variety of add-ons that came in the box. But let's take a look at what's in the box. Okay, so let's open this thing up. And turning it so that I can see what's on the camera. There's a manual, which theoretically I should read. And inside there is accessories. And there's a whole bunch of accessories down there. I guess those are different blades. We have a narrow chisel blade. We have a micro chisel blade. We have a sharp edge blade. We have a fine point blade. I think we looked at that. Yeah, that was the micro chisel blade. We have another set of fine point blades. And this is actually the thing that kind of intrigued me, is the chisel blade, which looked, I thought it was like a sanding blade, but I don't think so when I'm looking at it now. But we have a bunch of blades. Take these out. Okay, let's pull the device itself out. That's the device, and this is the device tray. All right, so this is the actual device. And it does come with a blade installed and a plug that needs to go into the big unit. So that is this thing. And already you can see we're talking about something substantially more intense than what we were looking at before. It takes a full power supply, and it has a variety of knobs on it. Okay, so the power knob and a amp adjustment. So the power knob and the amp adjustment, which cranks up the overall power on this thing. So that's kind of interesting. And let's look in the accessories. Get this out of the way. Okay, that's interesting. So, safety gloves. So this was one of my concerns with the other product, was that I was concerned that it would shoot off and potentially hit my hand. The idea that there are safety gloves, which are a little bit small for my hand, but work. The idea that their safety gloves are kind of interesting. I can see it being really hard to hold the part, but there are safety gloves, and that's a nice add-on. So I've gone in and plugged in the controller, and I'm also going to hook this thing in here. All right, and screw the thing in. So I now have this secured here as well. and together this whole thing rests like that, which is kind of nice. And what's also kind of nice is if I take the little top off, I can just set it in there and not lose it. So I am going to try to position this someplace useful and see if we can start testing. Okay, so I'm going to take the cover off of this tool, and I'm going to turn the power on. And I guess I'll just go one. Let's see, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 clicks. So I guess I'll just go 1, 2 and see what we get. There appears to be a button that makes it do the cutting, which is here. So let's grab a piece of this, and just for kicks, before we push the button, yeah, nothing's happening. All right, so let's push the button. Oh, we have a light. Check that out. All right, and there's a little vibration. Let's go through here. Well, that cuts nicely. That cuts really nicely. It's really nice to have the light to see what you're doing as you're doing it. Ooh, I like this. I think I like this a lot. All right, let's try a thicker piece. Let's turn it up to max and see what we get. Zoom. Just rockets right through it. I mean, that's beautiful. That's just beautiful. All right. Okay, let's nuke the Benchy. See how it does on the Benchy. So we'll take the top. Yeah, it bucks when you cut right through. So don't put too much pressure. Let the tool do the work. There we go. Let the tool do the work. Now I'm going more gently. I'm not pushing. I'm just letting the tool do the work. Oh, it gets hot. The button area, it gets a little toasty. But bam. We are done with that. Got a little thread. Get rid of the thread. All right. All right, so I'm going to go look at the Deep Space Nine problem that I had with the other one. Now, it is interesting because this piece this area from here to here isn't as long. It makes it a little bit tougher to reach into certain spots, but let's see what it does. And I'm only using the default blade. Well, that was a really, really effective job. It does, I am not behaving myself. I am not relying on letting the tool do the work, which I really should do. But there we go. I mean, let's try a little bit more up here. The yapping you may hear in the background is my dog, who probably hears me and wants to know where's Daddy. Oh yeah, look at that. That's a fairly clean job. I mean, obviously the supports are problematic and it's not a useful model, but the actual cut was pretty clean. All right, let's try the wood model and see what we get. Okay, so we know that we had burning last time, so this time I'm going to just turn this down quite a few notches, and I'm going to do another test corner cut and see what happens in terms of cutting the corner. I didn't turn it. Let me turn it down all the way and see if we get any. Oh, that's off. Let's see what we get with just one notch up. I'm going to clean off the plastic from here. Okay, so with one notch it does sort of cut, but not well. All right, let's move it up one. It does cut, but not well. Up one again. That cuts pretty well. It's burning, but it cuts really quite well. All right. I don't know if I'd want to go any further because it's, as you can see, it's burning a bit. All right, so let's see if we can finish cutting out this piece. And I'm going to actually move the tool because the tool, I mean the main unit here, it's actually kind of in my way because I set it up so you could see it. These are a little bit hard to get hold of the way I'd like to. And it does get hot. It really does get quite hot. Okay. But it also cuts through really well. All right. I am not much of a model maker, so those of you who know how to do this right and are cringing, please accept my apologies. That was not meant to freak you out. It's just I had this sitting around and I thought it would be a useful test case. And I might, now that I have this tool, I might actually try to finish it at some point. Because this, look at that, look at that, look at that, look at that. Can you see that? Look how easy that part is. Whoops, easy enough to go off the lines. Cutting on the lines is going to be a little tough to figure out. But, I mean, this whole piece is now loose. Look at that. There we go. I can actually take that piece out. Huh. All right. Well, I think that's the end of that test. I enumerated 2 key problems with the Magicutter. The first of which is that you hold the button right here, and if you touch it, it turns itself off. It also only runs for a few seconds, like 20 or 30 seconds, and it turns itself off as well. I found that to be really annoying. And then getting it to start up in its sort of high power mode could take quite a while. I mean, I wound up a couple times pushing the button for a minute, minute and a half, trying to get the right combination of button clicks for the little yellow light to turn on. It does its job. It's probably worth $60. It's not worth $250. The Chawke, on the other hand, is a beast. It comes with this power supply that uses a regular wall plug instead of a USB-C connection, and it's a beast. First off, you can adjust power with this. I'm trying to hold this without jamming myself with it. With this nice little knob, and it adjusts quite nicely from not quite enough to, whoa, we're burning things. It comes with a variety of interesting blades. I paid a little extra, so I got the protective gloves, which I'm probably not going to use because it's really hard to hold the thing to protect your hands, and instead it's probably better just to keep an eye where my hands are. But I do have the gloves in case I need them. So that was cool. I'm going to keep this. I am going to return the Magicutter because mostly it annoyed me. It did the job, but it annoyed me. The downside of this is it's big. I mean, the entire, find the case for the Magicutter. The entire Magicutter and its case comes in this nice little case that I can stuff almost anywhere and pull out. Whereas this thing, I'm going to have to pull it out of its big box, find a place to store its parts, and find a place on my desk for it to live because it's big. Now, neither of these things are battery powered, so I can't go take these like outside and cut boxes or stuff like that. They're both tethered to the wall. But since I do most of the work I'm doing on preparing 3D prints for, for filming at this desk, I might as well just plug it into the desk and set it up. I have my microscope over there. I can put this near it and use it, and it should work fairly well. Given that, the actual tool for the Magicutter, for the Chawke, is the same price as the tool for the Magicutter, and there are the accessories I bought, but the tool itself, they're the same price. I would say that this is actually worth $250. And like I said, this is worth probably about 60. I am not all that impressed. I don't like tools that both annoy me and don't impress me. I'm good if a tool really impresses me and really annoys me. That describes most of my friends. Describes me too, actually. I'm really annoying and fairly impressive. But I don't like it if it doesn't impress and it still annoys. So the Magicutter is going back, and the Chawke is going to find a place on my Fab Lab workbench. So let me know in the comments whether you've used either of these two tools or another sonic cutter, or you have a completely different cutting solution for the kinds of things that need cutting. I'd really love to know. I'd love to know if there's something else to look at. But for now, I think the Chawke is the winner. I'm going to keep it, and the other one is going back. So for Advanced Geekery, my name is David Gewirtz. Go out there and sonically cut something awesome.